Welcome to the video on working with percents. We're going to do some story problems, some basic word problems, and here we're going to start just practicing going back and forth between percents and decimals. So here in this first spot, we have a percent. So we have 43%. So just a refresher, if you have a percent and you want to go to a decimal, you locate your decimal in the problem. In this case, it's after the 3. And we move it 2 places to the left. So our decimal equivalent would be 0.43. In the second spot, we have a decimal. We have 0.062. Well, to go from a decimal to a percent, we just go the other way, right? You multiply by 100. So 1, 2, that would give us 6.2%. I would like you to go ahead and hit pause and try the rest of these, and then come back and check out and see if your answers match. Okay, I apologize. Those spots are really, really small. So I numbered them 1 through 9 and wrote the answers at the bottom. So you'll need to just double check number answers at the bottom to your spots and see if they match. So now let's get into some word problems. And number 1, what is 18% of 68? And I'm going to set all of these up as proportions. So in this particular problem, I recognize right away I have 18%. And remember that percent always goes over 100. Then I see of 68. Remember that of goes on the bottom, and the part that is with is, and in this case is what, goes on top. So I cross multiply. 100x equals 18 times 68, whatever that happens to be. Divide both sides by 100, and x is 12.24. So just a refresher on cross multiplying. Number 3. Now in this one it says what percent. So I don't know the percent, so I have x over 100 is 6 of 16. So 600 equals 16x. Divide both sides by 16, and x is 37.5%. Don't forget your percent sign on that, because remember originally they asked for a percent. Number 4, 62 is 18% of what number? 18%, percent over 100. 62 is, cross multiply and divide, and x is 344.44. Number 5, 50 is 120% of what number? Percent over 100. 50 is goes on top. Cross multiply and divide, and x equals 41.67 rounded to the nearest hundredth. Number 6, what percent? So again we have x over 100 is 0.4 of 20. Cross multiply and divide, and we end up with 2%. 9 3/4%. Okay, remember that 9 3/4 is like 9.75, and it's a percent, so it's out of 100. Of 190 is what? Cross multiply and divide, 18.525 there for number 7. And now we're going to get into some story problems. So what is the final price of a $1,498.99 TV in a state that has 5.5% sales tax? Well, I'm not going to use proportions on this one because sales tax is something that I kind of, I deal with a lot because I buy things. So if I want to find out how much tax am I paying for this item, so I know the tax is the price of the item, $1,498.99, times the tax rate, which is 5.5%. And remember, 5.5%, 2 places to the left, and that's how I get my decimal of 0.055. I multiply those two numbers together, so the tax on this item is $82.44. Well, if I take the tax and I add it to the item, $98.99, I come up with a total price of $1,581.43. Yeah, 3 didn't look very good there. And that's your final price after taxes. Then we get to number 9. Now we got to story problems. So last night you rolled the dice and went gambling. During the night you played 24 hands of poker. You won 9 of them. What percent of the total games did you win? Okay, so what percent? There's my x over 100. If we think on this side part to whole, Well, I played 24 games. That's the total amount that I played. I only won part of them, and that part was 9. Now that I have a proportion, we cross multiply and divide. So I end up with 37.5%. So I won 37.5% of my games if I was gambling. Number 10. Kit's ketchup bottle has 3.99 ounces, or 3.5%. Notice that these two things are linked together. So when I have my 3.5%, I know percent's over 100. Because these two are linked, I know that 3.99 has to go in the same basic spot as the 3.5. So because they're linked. Now when I read the rest of it, it says how much ketchup was in the bottle when it was full. So I want to know the total, so that also makes sense. So when you work this out, you end up with 114 ounces of ketchup when that bottle was full. Number 11, you currently jog 20 miles a week. Good job. Your personal trainer wants you to jog 275% as much as you currently jog. So if you think about the way that's worded, this is more, right? 275% is more. So they want you to jog more than 20. So right now, you know when you figure this out, your answer should be higher than 20. So I know percent over 100. And if I know my answer needs to be bigger, if you look at your fraction that you're given, look at this fraction. The bigger number's on top. So I know that if I want my answer to be bigger than 20, then the bigger number will go on top, because on the left side, the bigger number is on top. So there's a lot of different ways you can kind of think through how this works. When all's said and done, your personal trainer wants you to run 55 miles a week. That's a lot of miles, I just got to say. I'm not really sure what you're training for, but that's a lot of miles. Number 12. On a South Shore Line train car headed into Chicago, there are a total of 56 people. Notice, total 56 people. Total goes on the bottom. 16 of them, that's part goes on top, are headed to see the Cubs. What percent? I don't know. And then we cross multiply and divide. It ends up that to the nearest hundredth of a percent, 28.57% of the people in that train car are heading to the Cubs game. Right now, they'll probably win. Let's go to 13. Anne, a member of the local Girl Scouts troop, sold 30 boxes of cookies. If this, that goes back and references the 30 boxes. So those should be in the same line in your proportion. So if this represents 12% of the total boxes, or you can notice that it says how many total boxes did they sell. So percent over 100, we're trying to find the total boxes. They sold 30, cross multiply and divide, and they sold a total of 250 boxes. That's a lot of cookies. And when you think, they're like $4 1/4 a piece, that's, a lot of money. And 14, a baseball jersey normally costs $60.20. Currently, it's on sale for 40% off. What is the sales price, excluding tax, of the jersey? Now, there's two ways to do this problem, and I want to kind of talk about it this way. It's on sale for 40% off. So how much are you still paying? So if you don't have to pay 40%, you are paying 60%. So this is how much I'm still paying, right? I'm still paying 60%, because that's what we want to know. How much would you pay for the jersey? So if it's originally 60/20, how much will you pay if you're only paying 60% of the original price? So when I cross multiply, I will end up paying $36.12 as the new price of the jersey. That's not a bad price, right? I'd buy a jersey for that. 15. At a future showing of 25 Jump Street, 28 of the 160 attendees will buy popcorn. What percent? Hopefully by now you see what percent, and that inspires X over 100. 28 out of 160. That's part to whole. We cross multiply, and we end up with, wrong button. Whoa, I did something wrong. I did exactly what I didn't want to do. Can anybody tell me my mistake? Well, of course, Becky, here's your mistake. This is how many people will buy popcorn. What does the question ask? The question says, how many will not buy popcorn? So I'm going to go ahead and back this train up and say, okay, we had 160 people. 28 of them bought popcorn. That means 132 did not buy popcorn. So when I go back to my my proportion, I want to know how many did not buy popcorn, or the percent that did not buy popcorn. So you really want to, you know, pay attention to what we're doing here. So when I cross multiply and divide, I end up with 82.5% did not buy popcorn. And this is why it's super important that I do the work before I do these videos, or I will jack things up like that all over the place, right? Okay, 16. A massive furniture warehouse currently holds 1,200 couches. Suppose that Tom Cruise is going to buy 1.5% of these couches. How many will he buy? So we know he's buying part of the couches, and that's what we're trying to find. So percent over 100, what part is he buying over the 1,200 total? Cross multiply. Tom Cruise is going to buy 18 couches. And why anybody would need 18 couches is beyond me. So, number 17, the last one here in this problem. There are 6 Mars bars in Kenny's Halloween bag. If this is 15%, okay, so I've got 15%, that's percent over 100. If this, again, it refers back to what we just talked about, which was 6. So 6 is the part. How many total? I don't know. So cross multiply and divide. Kenny's got 40 candy bars in his bag. And that makes me think, I don't know, diabetes, sugar rush, anything like that. But, you know, wonderfulness, because that's what sugar is. So there is playing with proportions. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.